For more analysis on the Turkish local elections and the latest developments in Rojava, Bart Staes, member of the European Parliament and Flemish Greens in Belgium, will join us now live from Brussels. Thank you very much for speaking to Ronahî, Mr. Staes.
You're welcome.
For many observers, the results of the Turkish local elections were to some extent surprising. What about you, Mr. Staes? How did you receive the local election results?
Well, of course, it is amazing for somebody living in Brussels and in Europe, and somebody watching the policies of the leading party in Turkey, the AKP, and his leader Erdogan, winning the elections once again. That is very amazing. It only shows us that the Turkish conservatives in Turkey prefer, let's say, their man. They apparently economic stability and the provision of better services are for them and for a broad electorate in Turkey more important than free media, than corruption-free politics, than independent judges, than providing enough rights to the minorities in Turkey, and especially the Kurdish people. Well, I think that our message towards the Turkish leadership should be that winning the elections is one thing, but then afterwards, even if you're a majority and the winner of the elections, you have to go through dialogue, and you have to give the other parts of society a place in your society. And that is, I think, the most important message.
What do the local elections results whisper about the future of Turkish democracy and the resolution process going on?
Well, we all know that the contacts and also the talks about the enlargement of the European Union with Turkey are not going in the right direction. I was one of the MEPs in the European Parliament who voted in 2005 to start up these negotiations, because I think through negotiations, through dialogue, you can talk to each other and you can try to push the leadership of a state in the right direction and towards the European values. And European values are also freedom of press, freedom of media, anti-corruption, and a full recognition of minorities, be it religious minorities, be it cultural minorities, be it the rights of peoples to have a certain kind of independence or autonomy or sovereignty. I think we should prolong that dialogue. I know it is very difficult, and the last months and the last years, the AKP, but especially its leader, Mr. Erdogan, is not showing us the right signs and is behaving a little bit suspicious. He thinks apparently that everything is a complot against him, against his party, against his person. I don't think it is so. I think he is becoming more and more authoritarian, and he should listen to not only to the people in Turkey, although he got in the electoral in the local elections a good result. I don't think that is a good sign for his future in the world, because people that lead their country in an authoritarian way without giving rights to minorities isolate themselves in the international world. We see that with Erdogan. We see that also in another context with, for instance, Putin and what he does in Ukraine and the Crimea.
From time to time, new evidence emerge of the Turkish involvement in the attacks on Rojava. Erdogan, who passed the local elections and is approaching the presidential elections, will he continue his hostile policies against the people of Rojava, in your opinion?
Well, I fear indeed that this is the political line. Therefore, we have a responsibility as the international community in the European institutions, in the United Nations, and that is why I, in the European Parliament, with an amount of colleagues, not only from the Green Party in the European Parliament, but also from the European left, and with some members of the Social Democrats, try to bring what is happening in Western Kurdistan, but also with the Kurdish people in Syria. We try to bring it on the political agenda. I think it is hugely needed, because we know that quite a lot of atrocities and senseless violence is taking place there against people that are guilty of nothing, that are simple citizens, women, children, men, even unarmed men. So this is unacceptable according to our standards, and that is why I, of course, try to place this on the political agenda in the European Parliament. But it is also part of what I say during the electoral campaign. As you probably know, we are heading elections for the European Parliament the 25th of May this year. So within here and a few weeks, the real electoral campaign will start. And I hope that also in Belgium, in my constituency in Flanders, the Dutch speakers of Belgium, that international politics and what is happening in Turkey, in Kurdistan, be it northern Kurdistan, western Kurdistan, or whatever, be it Kurdistan in Turkey or in all the other states. We all know that Kurdistan is a huge country which exists in many states. I think we should put the problems on the political agenda. It should be part of the debate of what should be European foreign policy, and we cannot forget what is happening in your country.
United States and European Union are following the same policies towards the Kurds in general. How far is the United States influencing the EU policy, Mr. Staes?
Yeah, I do not think that the policy of the United States of America in the European Parliament has an influence. I think that quite a lot of members in the European Parliament have an independent thinking, but you cannot deny the fact that in international politics there is a lot of hypocrisy and a lot of cynism, and we all know that European foreign policy is not really European. We all know that, first of all, the 28 ministers of foreign affairs do not communicate enough between themselves. That's what Cathy Ashton, the High Representative for Foreign Policy and Vice President of the European Commission, that she is from time to time really powerless, because she has to act with the full support of the 28 member states and the 28 ministers of foreign affairs. We all know that some of those ministers of foreign affairs do play their own politics, and France decides what it wants to do, Germany decides what it wants to do, the United Kingdom decides what it wants to do, simply without having a dialogue or a coordination with the other ones. And you can't deny the fact indeed that the context of some of our member states and some of our ministers of foreign affairs with the US and with the Secretary of State on Foreign Affairs in the US, that there is a close contact also within NATO, of course, and within the United Nations. So there is an impact of the United States into the behavior of let's say, the leading politicians in the European Union. But I think it is our task as members of the European Parliament to maintain independence, to act on facts, and to try to follow what is really happening, and to be those who say the truth when something is going wrong.
Amid regional turmoil, Kurds are continuing their struggle to obtain their rights. In your perspective, where is the region heading to, and what will be the fate of the Kurds in the region?
You mean the region of Kobani?
Middle East.
In the Middle East in general?
Yeah.
of course, the Middle East is the region where quite a lot of conflicts are taking place now. We have the problems in Syria, which are a real tragedy. We still have the big problem between the Israeli state and the Palestinian people, which I follow very closely. But I do not understand that when the European Union decides to impose sanctions, for instance, on Russia, because what it does towards Ukraine or what it does in Crimea, that we as a European Union, we do not use the same arm of economic sanctions towards what I call a rather racist state of Israel, because what Israel does towards the Palestinian people is simply unacceptable. I was many times in the West Bank, in East Jerusalem. I never was in Gaza. I have to recognize that, but I know that what Israel is doing on Palestinian territories is really unacceptable. And I think the international community, and especially the European Union, should take its responsibility and work together with the local powers in the Middle East to make sure that the rights of autonomy and the rights of sovereignty of the people are guaranteed.
Bart Staes, member of the European Parliament and Flemish Greens in Belgium, you've been with us from Brussels. Thank you very much for speaking to us.
You're welcome. Very nice. Thank you.
Thank you very much.